Torture has a long and gruesome history, and throughout the centuries, various devices were invented and used to inflict pain and suffering on individuals. While it's important to note that discussing such devices can be disturbing, it's also essential to remember the atrocities of the past to prevent their repetition. Here are 20 historical torture machines. The rack. This infamous device stretched the victim's limbs, often dislocating or breaking their joints. Iron Maiden. A coffin-like structure with spikes on the inside. The victim would be enclosed, and the spikes would pierce their flesh upon closing. Judas Cradle. Victims were placed atop a pyramid-shaped seat and slowly lowered onto the pointed top, causing extreme pain and often death due to impalement. The Brazen Bull. A hollow bronze bull in which victims were locked inside and a fire was lit beneath them, roasting them alive while their screams sounded like a bull's bellowing. The Pair of Anguish. A metal instrument inserted into various orifices and then expanded, causing excruciating pain. Thumb screws. A simple but effective device that crushed the victim's fingers or toes between two hard surfaces. The Iron Chair. A chair with spikes on the seat and backrest, forcing the victim to sit on the spikes for extended periods. The Breaking Wheel. Victims were tied to a large wheel and had their limbs broken one by one with a heavy hammer or iron bar. The Spanish Donkey. Victims were placed astride a narrow, wedge-shaped device, with their weight causing severe pressure and often tearing. The Head Crusher. An instrument that crushed the victim's head between two metal plates, leading to skull fractures and intense pain. The Heretic's Fork. A double-ended, fork-like device that was strapped to the victim's neck, causing extreme discomfort if they fell asleep. The Strapado. Victims had their hands tied behind their back and were hoisted into the air by a rope, dislocating their shoulders. The Saw Torture. Victims were suspended upside down, and a large saw was used to cut them in half from groin to head. The Scold's Bridle. A metal mask with a tongue depressor used to silence and punish women accused of being nagging or troublesome. The Lead Sprinkler. A container filled with molten lead or other substances that would be dripped onto the victim's flesh, causing severe burns. The Knee Splitter. A device used to crush the victim's knee joint, resulting in agonizing pain and often permanent disability. The Choke Pear. An instrument inserted into the mouth, anus, or vagina, which was then expanded to cause internal injuries. The Water Torture. Victims were strapped down, and water was dripped onto their foreheads continuously, causing extreme discomfort and, in some cases, madness. The Pillory. A wooden frame with holes for the head and hands, used for public humiliation and sometimes physical abuse. The Wheelbarrow. Victims were bound and placed in a wheelbarrow-like device with their head protruding, and they were then rolled downhill, often resulting in severe injuries or death. These torture machines represent some of the most horrifying methods used in history to inflict pain and suffering on individuals, often for reasons of punishment, interrogation, or public spectacle. Thankfully, such practices have mostly been abandoned in modern society, replaced by more humane methods of punishment and justice.